Okay. Hare Krishna. Om Jnanaatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Shwapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Shavadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanvitam Cha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kantha Radha Kantha Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangungam hayate girim Yat kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanyeshwaram. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So welcome to all the devotees. Finally, tonight we are resuming our class again. I personally really apologize for my own situation that I have been sick, and also many devotees got sick here in Mayapur. And last night we had rain here, and yeah, somehow class got cancelled. So I'd like to request all the devotees to open their videos so we can see each other. Thank you so much. So in our previous class, we have discussed chapter 4, the beginning of chapter 4, text number 1 to 10, where Krishna explains to Arjuna about transcendental knowledge about himself. Yeah, and the purpose why Krishna came here. Yeah, paritranaya sadhanam, to that verse. And then if Krishna explained that if we understand about Krishna Tattva, about his janma and karma, then naitimam etis Arjuna. Once we leave this material body, we will not return again to this material world. If we understand the tattva about Krishna. So in India, there are so many people, almost everybody knows Krishna. Almost everybody knows Krishna's pastimes. But the question is that, do they really know about Krishna Tattva? Do they really understand Krishna's transcendental position? Being much more higher than the demigod. Yeah, most of the people in India, the Hindus, they are thinking that Krishna is one of the demigods. Yeah, so that's actually, although they know about Krishna's pastimes, but when one considers Krishna to be one of the demigods, that's actually an offense. Yeah, because Krishna is asamo urdhva. Nobody can be equal to or even higher than Krishna. So on that basis, we shall continue our discussion today. So continuing the previous discussion, so now from text number 11 to 15, Krishna, we will discuss about Krishna as the goal of all paths and the creator of Varnashram. Okay. So after giving knowledge about himself, which leads to liberation, so that verse text number 9, Janma Karma Chame Divyam, that's actually knowledge about Krishna leads to liberation. Krishna now explains how he is the ultimate goal of all paths and how everyone is dependent upon his mercy for attaining success. He has created the Varnashram system whereby men can fulfill their material desires and make progress toward liberation. But he is above this system. Yeah. Kindly, other devotees remain muted. There will be a chance for all of us to speak later when requested. So here, text number 11. Yeah, this is also one of the verses that Srila Prabhupada quote often. Yeah. Ye yathamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham mama manuvartante manusya parthasarosa. Translation: as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So ye yathamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. Bhajamyaham means worship me. So depend on the intensity of our worship to Krishna. So Krishna is also rewarding us accordingly. Yeah. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Yeah. Those, Prabhupada explained, for those who are fruitive workers, the Lord awards the desired result of their prescribed duties as the Yagyeshwara, and those who are yogis seeking mystic powers are awarded such powers. In other words, everyone is dependent for success upon his mercy alone. And all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path, unless one comes to the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect. So interesting here that different people approach Krishna actually for different purposes, and Krishna reciprocate accordingly. Yeah. If we approach Krishna for material gain, there is no doubt that Krishna will give that. The example is Dhruva Maharaj. Yeah, Stana Vilasi Tapasi Stito Ham Tvam Praptavan Deva Muninda Gurya. So when Dhruva Maharaj approached Krishna for wealth, so Lord Vishnu appeared and fulfilled that desire. Although later we find the description in the Srimad Bhagavatam that actually Dhruva Maharaj was lamenting. Yeah. But because he was asking for that in the beginning, so Krishna awarded whatever he was asking. So when we approach Krishna for material gain, he will reward it. So the yogis approaching Krishna for mystic power, so Krishna will reward them. So similarly, even the demigod worshippers also, actually they indirectly they are worshipping Krishna. It just they don't know. They don't know actually Krishna is the Yagyeshwara. But of course, all the yogic performance actually meant to satisfy Vishnu. Yeah, Yagya karma nuanyatra. So all sacrifice meant to satisfy Vishnu. But those who have less intelligence, so they worship demigods. But actually, their intensity, they want to please God because they don't have enough information. So they worship the part of the body of God, and then whatever remuneration that even the demigod worshippers get, actually, first of all, it should be sanctioned by Krishna. So those who want merging into the Brahman liberation also will be awarded by Krishna, because Krishna is the real desire tree. Yeah. So whatever we ask from Krishna, depending on the intensity of our worship, so Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. So in the in the 7th chapter, yeah, it is described that there are 4 kinds of people who approach Krishna. Yeah, Artho, Jigyasu, Arthati, Gyanicha. So all these actually, like for example, Artho, one who is suffering, Arthati, one who desire wealth, Jigyasu, one who is inquisitive, and Gyani, of course, those who are liberated. But in most cases, these 4 types of people, they are not pure devotees. So they have some material aspiration, why they approach Krishna. But still, Krishna says that Chaturvida Bhajantimam Jana Sukritinu. They are Sukriti. Sukriti means pious. They are pious people. So they are intelligent. They have some intelligence. They have some piety. So they approach Krishna. And then Krishna will reciprocate accordingly. So when we ask questions, sometimes people ask question, is it wrong when we approach Krishna for material gain? Is it wrong to approach Krishna for material gain? Yeah. Anybody would like to answer to that question? For example, I want wealth, and then I approach Krishna for wealth. Is it wrong?
Yes, Prabhu. Sometime it is that Krishna will fulfill our material, which is the cause of bondage. It's why, as a pure devotion, the material expectation is not good. But sometime it's okay. But always expectation is not good for devotional life.
Right. Yeah. So thank you so much for your contribution. When actually there are two different levels where we can see this. Is it wrong when we approach Krishna with some material desire? Well, if we are already in Krishna consciousness for many, many years, approaching Krishna for material gain is not at all correct attitude. But for beginner, that's okay. For a beginner, that's okay, because the principle is that whoever approaches Krishna, that person will get purification. Yeah, that person will get purification because Krishna is like the Chintamani, yeah, touchstone. So Krishna will change somebody's heart. Yeah. So first of all, approach Krishna. That's the main thing. Yeah. Rather than approaching demigods, it is much better to approach Krishna for material gain. Yeah, rather than approaching the demigods, better to approach Krishna for material gain. Akama sarva kamo moksha kama udaradihi. Yeah, that's the principle. Doesn't matter whatever one's motivation. Yeah, just approach Krishna. And as time goes, because we are approaching Krishna, so we are getting some purification, and we will come to the higher understanding. But for devotees who have been practicing for long, approaching Krishna for material gain is considered to be not very intelligent decision. Not very intelligent decision, because we know our purpose of practicing devotional activities is to develop love for Krishna, just to please Krishna. That's it. Yeah. So we can see that question from two different levels. Yeah. For the beginners, that's all right. But for those who have been practicing for many years, approaching Krishna for material gain is not at all intelligent. Yeah. Not at all intelligent. All right. There is a question here. If Krishna, the Supreme Lord, gives a soul whatever he wants, okay, because Krishna says that ye yathamam prapadyante, give a soul whatever he wants, why don't more persons surrender to him? Why do they worship others to fulfill their desires? Yeah. So the answer will be in the next verse, because it is logical to us that Krishna says that to the degree of somebody surrender to me, I will reward him accordingly. That means whoever approach Krishna, whatever their desires will be fulfilled. But then this question arises here, that if Krishna fulfills everyone's desire, why not everybody becomes devotee? So here is the answer for that question. Man in this, text number 12, man in this world desires success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get result from fruitive work in this world. Yeah. People choose to worship the demigods because demigods very easily to be satisfied. Yeah. Anyone who thinks that God and demigods are on the same level is called an atheist or a pasandi. Yeah. So Prabhupada interestingly mentioned here about atheists. Normally, our understanding about atheists is that one who doesn't believe in God, one who doesn't believe in God's existence. But here, Prabhupada mentioned Pashandi or atheist means even those who think that Krishna on the same level with other demigods, with the demigods, they are also called atheists. Because after all, they don't believe in the position of Krishna's higher position than the demigods. That's the understanding here. But in general, common understanding about atheist is that when we neglect the existence of God, when we don't believe that there is God, that's atheism. But here Prabhupada mentioned if we consider Krishna to be one of the demigods, that's also atheist. Even Sripad Shankaracharya, the leader of the impersonalists, maintains that Narayan or Krishna is beyond this material creation. However, foolish people, Ritagyana, worship the demigods because they want immediate result. They get the result, but they do not know that results so obtained are temporary and are meant for less intelligent persons. So this verse indicates that people are rarely interested in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, Hrita Jnana. Hrita Jnana means one who bereft of his intelligence. Yeah, Kamai Stai Hrita Jnana. Prapadyante nya devata tam tam niyamamastaya prakrita nyatasvaya. So Kama Stai Hrita Jnana. Those people whose heart is full of Kama. Yeah, Kama Stai Harita Jnana. So when the heart is overwhelmed with material desire, so one's intelligence is lost, Harita Jnana. And then Prapadyante Nya Devataha. And then they worship the demigods because demigods is very easy to be pleased. It's very easy to be pleased. Demigod is very easy to be pleased, especially Lord Shiva. One of Lord Shiva's name is Ashutosh. Ashutosh means one who is very easily pleased, yet at the same time, one who is very easily to be angry. So he's Ashutosh. Yeah, very easy to get satisfied, but at the same time, it's dangerous to worship such a demigod like Shiva if we commit some mistake. So he will actually become very angry and may also put us into trouble. Yeah. So that's the point here, that why not many people become Krishna conscious? Because although Krishna fulfills everyone's desire, but it's not so easy compared to the demigods. Demigod will give very easily the result of one's worship. Yeah. And this verse is explaining about Varnashram. Krishna is the creator of Varnashram. And what is the purpose of Varnashram? We will explore later. Chaturvarnya maya srishtam guna karma vibhagasaha tasya kartaram atmimam vidya kartaram avyayam. According to the three modes of material nature and work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me, okay, by Krishna. And although I'm the creator of this system, you should know that I'm yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. Yeah. So there are four varnas, yeah, Brahmana, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras. So according to the three modes, yeah, guna, according to one's guna. Yeah. So Krishna doesn't mention here about janma. One's varna is determined by guna and karma, by quality and one's activities, not by janma. Because even in Indonesia, this caste system is still there actually in Indonesia. And those who are born from Brahmana family, they are considered to be Brahmanas. Although their quality and activity is not at all suiting the activities of the Brahmana. So actually they are simply called the Dvija Bandhu. Yeah, Dvija Bandhu means the twice born. Who are the twice born? The Vaishyas, the Kshatriyas, and the Brahmanas. Those who born from this Varnas, but they don't have the quality of being the Vaishyas, Kshatriyas, and the Brahmanas. So they are called the Dvija Bandhu. They simply born from Brahmana family, for example, but they don't have the quality of a Brahmana. But Krishna mentioned here clearly that one's Varna determined from Guna. Guna means quality and also karma, activities, not by Janma. So the Brahmanas, they are mostly influenced by Sattva Gun, Kshatriyas Rajogun, and then Vaishyas mixed between Rajo and Tamogun, and Sudra basically Tamogun. So although Krishna creates the Varnashram system, yet he is not at all bound by these rules and regulations according to Varna and Ashram. This is from the Sarendra Antony. The Varnashram system's purpose is to assist in elevating everyone from material consciousness to Krishna consciousness. In addition, Krishna himself is always transcendental to the Varnashram system, despite the fact that he, while in this world, follows the prescribed duties of his Varna and Ashrama. Yeah. So here, the purpose of Varnashram is that to help us actually come to the mode of Sattva Gun and ultimately Vishuddha Sattva. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, even till the last moment of his life, he was talking about Varnashram. Yeah. Because why? One time in one conversation, Srila Prabhupada was asking Tamal Krishna Maharaj, why there are so many fall down? Because those days there are so many his disciples, sannyasis, and then fall down from their position of being sannyas. Prabhupada said, why there are so many fall downs? Because we don't follow the Varnashram system. When we talk about Varnashram, Varnashram is none other than lifestyle actually. Natural lifestyle, according to the Vedic culture. Yeah, according to the Vedic culture. And one of the primary purposes of following the Vedic culture is that to separate the free mixing, the free mixing between young boys and young girls, to avoid the Varna Sankara. Yeah, because culture. So normally, only boys going to the Gurukul. Yeah, only boys going to study, and women actually normally, according to the Vedic tradition, they study at home under the guidance of their elderly. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned that this university, actually they are like slaughterhouse. They are like slaughterhouses because when men and women mix freely, and that's actually dangerous because the main training for boys is actually to become brahmacharya, and for the girls is chastity, to become chaste. Girls, Prabhupada explained, girls should be trained to be a good wife, and boys should be trained to become good brahmachari. So when the boys nicely trained to become good brahmacharis, and the girls, nicely trained to become chaste and good wife, when they combine together, that will become a perfect grihastha ashram. So Varna and ashram, when we talk about Varna ashram, okay, mostly people think immediately about cow protections, agriculture. That is part of that. Because first of all, when we talk about Varnashram, when we talk about Vedic culture, we are talking about Brahmanical culture. And then when we talk about Brahmanical culture, we cannot live separately from the cows because Brahmanas, they are completely dependent from the cows in order to get all the ingredients for sacrifice. Yeah. The Brahmanas dependent on cows. Therefore, when we talk about Varnashram, immediately cow protection and agriculture comes into picture. and also the cultivation of land, Krishi Guraksa Varnija Vashya Karma Swabhavajam. Yeah, the Vaishyas actually producing food because we cannot live without food. Yeah, food is the basic necessity actually for every living entity. Yeah, and then the purpose of agriculture is not to sell the product. You know, okay, Krishi Guraksa Varijam. Krishi means to cultivate the land. Okay, and then Goraksa to protect the cows, and then Varnija means to trade. But actually, uh, the purpose of Krishi or cultivating the land is not producing to sell out, no, but first to fulfill the needs of the community. And then when there is some excess, then you can trade in the form of barter. In one conversation, Srila Prabhupada was so heavily condemning this system of paper money. Prabhupada said this paper money is not safe at all. It's not safe at all. Anytime this system can be collapsed. Because first of all, it is not backed up by gold, Prabhupada means. We just have this paper. And when the central bank announced that this paper is no longer valid, then finish. I was here in 2000, when was that? When our Prime Minister Narendra Modi, he suddenly announced that this 1,500 notes is no longer valid. They have new currency note. Yeah, everybody was freaking out. You have 100 days to exchange this money in the bank. That's it. Otherwise, it has no value. So like that, because this paper currency actually it's just a paper. It's just a paper, and nowadays hardly we see the paper. We just see some number in your uh, net banking, and you think that oh yeah you are rich. The more number that you have, actually, according to Vedic culture, how to measure one's wealth is using how much land you have and how many cows do you have. Yeah. Nanda Maharaj has 9 lakhs cows. Therefore, he's the king of Braj. Yeah, he's the king because he possessed the largest amount of cows. But even richer than that is Vrishabhanu Maharaj. Yeah, Vrishabhanu Maharaj has um, 12 lakhs of cows. Cannot imagine how do they maintain their cows. There's so many, but somehow. So the point here, talking about Varnashram, the purpose of Varnashram is to bring us to the level of Sattva Gun, actually. When we live according to the Vedic tradition, our life will become so simple, and that will help us to develop the mode of Sattva Gun, the mode of goodness. Yeah, the mode of goodness. Therefore, when we talk about Varnashram also, we cannot separate this word Varnashram with farm community, with Vaishnava farm community, because when we live in the village, actually, the environment is much more conducive actually to perform devotional life compared to the living in the big cities. For example, like in Calcutta, big cities, it's so full of distraction, full of distraction. But in the village, like it's so nice. Prabhupada desire actually. He desired that every city temple, Srila Prabhupada said, every city temple should have an extension of a farm somewhere nearby. So from that farm, the body should produce the bhoga for the deities, like this. So Krishna creates this Varnashram system. Okay, when we talk about Varnashram, there are 2 levels of dharma. There are 2 levels of dharma. Yeah, 2 levels of swadharma. Of course, basically it is known as the Sanatan Dharma, but there are 2 levels of Sanatan Dharma. One is Bhagavad Dharma, and the another one is Varnashram Dharma. So Bhagavad Dharma deals with the soul, okay, and then Varnashram Dharma deals with the material body or Prakriti. So without this material body, we cannot perform devotional service to Krishna. In fact, in one purport in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the second canto, first chapter, Srila Prabhupada mentioned that Varnashram Dharma or Sanatan Dharma. Yeah, so it's equal actually between the Bhagavad Dharma and Varnashram Dharma. Yeah, because when we talk about Varnashram, we talk about Prakriti. Then we may think, as devotees, we may think that, oh, it's Prakriti, it's material nature. Why so much putting into this concern of the Prakriti? Okay, the Bhagavad Gita deals mainly with the 5 subjects. Yeah, Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. Okay, out of these 5, there are 4 things which are eternal and 1 thing which is not eternal. What is that not eternal amongst these 5? Ishvara, Jiva, Prakriti, Kala, and Karma. What is not eternal?
Karma is not eternal.
Yes.
Karma can be
Karma
changed.
is not eternal. You can change your karma. You can stop your karma. But Ishvara is eternal, Krishna. Jiva is eternal. And then Kala, time is eternal. And Prakriti is also eternal. So this world is eternal, but the understanding is that sometimes it is manifested and sometimes unmanifest. Okay. When Lord Mahavishnu breathes out exile, so it's manifest. And when we inhale, and then it becomes unmanifest. But the Prakriti, the Pradhan, the Mahat Tattva is eternal. Therefore, Varnashram is eternal. So this system is not material. Although that's meant for our material life, but it is not material because it's created by Krishna. Yeah. It is created by Krishna. So it is not material. Prakriti is not material. Prakriti is material, but it is eternal. Yeah, because it is Krishna's Bahir Anga Shakti, Krishna's energy. Krishna's energy is eternal. Yeah. So Iswara, Jiva, Prakriti, and Kala. These 4 are eternal. And only karma can be stopped, can be changed. Yeah. So Varashram, the purpose is that to make our life easier, actually, to make our life easier. The moment we start neglecting our Vedic culture, then there are so many artificial needs. There are so many artificial needs. Actually, the central point of Vedic culture is that simple living and high thinking, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned. But we unnecessarily, we are creating so many artificial necessities in life because we're not following any longer our Vedic culture. Yeah. Sometimes as devotees, we think that, okay, we put dhoti, we put tila, kantimala, shave our head, having japa beads, that Vedic culture, where that is just small aspect of the Vedic culture. It's just a dress code. And what about the behavior? Even sometimes here, unfortunately, it's being recorded. I'm just telling you something here. Sometimes here in Mayapur, I saw that young boys and young girls, they are riding a motorbike like sandwich, like a sandwich. I was so disturbed actually when I saw this. Boy in the front, girl in the middle, and then in the back side, another boy. They are young girls, devotees, not married. Because we are not following Varnashram system. Then if I want to complain, to whom I should complain? To their parents not really care. Because we don't follow the Varnashram system. Yeah, that's like one small aspect. And that's actually dangerous for our devotional life. Balawan Indriya Gramo Vidwam Sama Pikarsati. Matra Swasra Duhitrawa Na Vivita Shano Bhavet. Balawan Indriya Gramo Vidwam Sama Pikarsati. King Yayati said that one should not sit on the same place, on the same seat along with his mother, daughter, and sister. Although one is so intelligent, Balawan Indriya Gramo, because the senses is so strong, one may get attracted by sexual desire. And what to speak, you sit in a motorbike like sandwich. So that's like one of the misfortune here. We know the philosophy, but we don't really follow it. When we talk about following the four regulative principles, we have to be very careful. Yeah, very careful. Then we don't follow Varnashram properly, we don't follow Vedic culture, it's easy for us to deviate from our practice. So Varnashram is just to help us to develop mode of goodness. If you don't follow, then what happened? Passion, ignorance. Yeah. All right. This is a lecture by Srila Prabhupada. So, beginning of human civilization is this Varnashram Dharma. You see, Varnashram Dharma. The Vedic system is Varnashram Dharma. So when we talk about Varnashram, it's a Vedic system. Yeah. Because human life, there's system here, like the ashram also, like Grihastha ashram. We are allowed to live together with the opposite sex, provided we should marry. Yeah, not like the animals. Not like the animals. There are so many people nowadays, maybe including devotees also, without married living together. But Krishna consciousness is so nice. It is said in the Shastra, Aho bata swapachuto gariyan yajivagre vartate namatuyam. Even a swapacho, chandala, dog eaters, if he learns from the spiritual master how to chant Hare Krishna mantra, he is gariyan, he is glorified. So of course, here another point we can see is actually those who are pure devotees actually doesn't need to follow Varnashram Dharma, because bhakti is beyond Varnashram. Bhakti is above Varnashram. But what kind of bhakti? It's Shuddha bhakti. It's pure bhakti. Unless one in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, in the narration of when the Chatu Kumara curses the two gatekeeper giant Vijay. So Srila Prabhupada explained there. Those who are situated in the level of Paramhamsa, like the Chatu Kumara, they don't need to follow the Varnashram system. And then now, who is situated in the position like Chatu Kumara here? Because the Chatu Kumara, they rejected the order of Lord Brahma to become Grihastha. They are not at all interested to get married. And Lord Brahma cursed them. And Prabhupada explained that because the Chatu Kumara, they are ever liberated soul. They're already liberated, transcendental. So they don't need to follow Varnashram. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained that Varnashram is meant for the sadhakas, meant for devotees in their conditional state. If you are pure devotee, you don't have to follow Varnashram. But if you feel, if you feel that you're still conditioned, then you must follow Varnashram system. Even a liberated person should yad acharati sestas. Yad acharati
তোমার ষোলো মালা
sestas. So in order to set up a good example, even Krishna himself, when he appeared, he followed himself, set up good example. Okay. Next verse, text number 14. There is no work that affects me, nor do I aspire for the fruits of action. One who understands this truth about me also does not become entangled in the productive reactions of work. Krishna engages in many activities, but while acting, is materially aloof and materially desireless. Because these activities are within the internal energy and are free from the mode's material nature. Because his work is materially desireless, no reaction attach themselves to his work. Mm. And then text number 15, all the liberated souls in ancient times acted with this understanding of my transcendental nature. Therefore, you should perform your duty following in their footsteps. You see, Krishna is explaining here, even the liberated souls in the ancient times, they still follow this system. Yeah, is it a good example? Therefore, Krishna says to Arjuna, just do your duties. On the battlefield was not approved by the Lord. One need only know how to act. To retire from the activities of Krishna consciousness and to sit aloof, making a show of Krishna consciousness, is less important than actually engaging in the field of activities for the sake of Krishna. Arjuna is here advised to act in Krishna consciousness, following the footsteps of the Lord's previous disciples, such as the sun god Vivaswan, as mentioned herein before. Yeah. Prabhupada explained in the lecture. So our only request is that if you want happiness, if you want to prosper, make your life successful, you must read Bhagavad Gita thoroughly as it is. As Krishna says, don't try to misinterpret. Krishna means this and Pandava means this and this means this. Don't make this foolish rascal do. Take it as it is. Yeah, take Bhagavad Gita. So up to this point, we have discussed that Krishna is the goal of all path. Yeah, ye thamam prapajante, where Krishna explained that Krishna is the goal of all paths. And then Krishna is the creator of the Varnashram system, yet he's actually not at all bound by these rules and regulation of the Varnashram system. But when he comes down, when he descends to the material world, he shows a good example by following the Varnashram system. All right, up to that point, whether any questions or comments before we continue to the
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
next discussion? Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. That Varnashram, is it separate from bhakti or including bhakti? Because sometime in Bhagavad Gita said that Varnashram is also a Kaitava dharma, that sometime it is not pure bhakti. The
Right.
bhakti is sometimes say that it is separate from the Varnashrama. Even sometimes bhajan apakka, in this slook also said as the bhakti is even separate from that dharma.
Right, right.
Yes, Prabhu, say something about it. Something confuses there.
Yes, many of our ISKCON devotees having read the Nectar of Devotion, for example, amongst the 64 angas of bhakti, Srila Rupa Goswami didn't mention Varnashram is one of the angas of bhakti. Then why do we have to follow Varnashram? Yeah. It is like this. Just like this computer that I have now in the front of me. Is it material or spiritual? Is material or transcendental? So same thing also Varnashram. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhi, that's the point. If Varnashram is used for Krishna consciousness, that becomes Daivi Varnashram. So the Varnashram that we try to follow is not simply Varnashram, not simply materialistic Varnashram, but it is called Daiva Varnashram. So this word Daiva is very significant. When we connect to Krishna, Like this computer, now I have this computer. It's just plastic and whatever it is made of. It's material. But because I'm using it for the service of the Lord, then it becomes transcendental. So similarly, Varnashram is also like that. It is just like the stepping stone. The purpose of Varnashram is just to elevate us to the level of Sattva Gun. That's it, to the level of Sattva Gun. Then why do we need to be on the level of Sattva Gun? Because it's easier for us to jump, to step from Sattva Gun to Visuddha Sattva. Yeah. For example, those who are in the mode of Sattva Gun, they are always enthusiastic, always happy. They like to read, they like to listen. They are enlightened by knowledge. This is the symptoms of those who are in the mode of Sattva Gun. Those who are in the mode of ignorant, for example, they are lazy, they sleep too much. Then we can see here that devotees who possess the mode of Sattva Gun, they never miss Mangalarati. That's one example. They never miss Mangalarati. They always get up early in the morning. Yeah. And those who are situated in ignorance, they like to sleep late and get up late, and they always miss Mangala Arati. Then how we can advance in Krishna consciousness if we remain situated on the lower mode of nature? Therefore, Varnashram is helping us to bring us to the mode of goodness, being clean. That's one thing. Being clean is sattvic. Yeah, being clean, always positive-minded person is sattva good. Yeah. So Varnashram is not one of the Anga Bhakti, but it helps. But it helps as stepping stone. As a stepping stone. Therefore, when it is connected, it becomes bhakti. Varnashram is not bhakti, but Daiva Varnashram is bhakti. Because we connected to Krishna. Because we connect to Krishna. That's the point. And it helps us. And then our principle is that anukulyasa sankalpa, pratikulyasa varjam. We accept whatever is favorable and we reject what is not favorable. Varnashram is favorable, therefore we accept. And not only Prabhupada says that, but Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur also mentioned that Varnashram is important for those devotees who are situated in their conditioned state. Yeah. Even Krishna here mentioned Chaturvarna Maya Shrishta. Yeah. If Krishna mentioned, that means it is something very important. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Prabhu, just one clarification. Prabhu, that in the present context in this Kali Yuga, that there is no all are Sudra, call that all are Sudra. There is Sannyas ashram and Varnashram is not possible now. Then in this present context in this Kali Yuga, is it possible for that to follow this Varna and ashram because all are Sudra and no Sannyas, nothing is there? And this present context, what is the practicality that to follow this Varnashram in the context, in relation with the Bhakti Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Very important questions. Yeah. In Kali Yuga, Kalo Sudra Sambhava. Everybody is born lower than Sudra. Then is it possible to follow this Varnashram system in Kali Yuga? Yes. Because in this Kali Yuga, it's actually, we are situated in hidden Satya Yuga in Kali Yuga. We are actually in the hidden Satya Yuga within Kali Yuga. So it is possible because one time Srila Prabhupada mentioned that one of the purpose of Krishna consciousness movement is to establish the system of Varnashram. Actually, Varnashram is meant to help Krishna consciousness. But Prabhupada mentioned one of the purposes why ISKCON is established is to bring back the Vedic culture. How Srila Prabhupada went to the US. He was with dhoti, with tilak, with shaved head. He was not wearing trousers, trying to adjust with these people, But he was there with sannyas robe because that's culture. So one of the purpose of Srila Prabhupada establishing ISKCON is to revive again the Vedic culture, which is the Varnashram. So yes, it is possible to follow in this present age because we are situated in the hidden Satya Yuga, within Kali Yuga. Yeah. And how practically it is done? Through training, through Gurukul. If you have son, don't worry, put your son in a Gurukul. Yeah. Sometimes as parents, we think that, oh, what about their future? If they don't become a doctor or become a chartered accountant, what happened with their future? What they will eat? Are Baba, if Krishna take care of a dog in the street, why he will not take care of his devotees? Yeah. Everybody is already arranged. Their maintenance in life is already arranged by nature according to their karma. Yeah. Karmana daiva netrena jantur deho papathaya. According to one's karma, one's happiness and one's distress is already allotted. Even if you are a king, if it is your time, this very moment you will be sad, you will cry. That's it. Even if you are a beggar, if at that time you are meant to be happy, somehow you will be happy. Yeah, somehow. So yes, it is possible through training, Gurukula training. So in Gurukul, we can see one's nature, the kid's nature. And in Gurukul, we don't force the student to study like in the modern school. In modern school, they have only one module, and everybody should follow that, and everybody will be graded. Okay, you are the first rank, second, third, blah blah blah, and so on. Just like when we put all the animal together, the fish, the bird, the elephant, the horse, the dog, cat, and then now the exam is that to climb a tree. Those who cannot climb a tree, it will be failed. This is modern educational system. So the fish will be failed, the dog will be failed, the elephant will be failed. Does it mean that all these animals they are stupid? No, they have their own talent in different field. So this is the system. Varnashram system is putting you on the right place, right man in the right place, not forcing you to do something similar to others. I cannot paint. I'm not an artist. So others may have that talent. I can beat mridanga, I can play harmonium, others don't. Does it mean that others who cannot play mridanga, others who cannot play harmonium, they are stupid? No. They know how to decorate the deities, they know how to take care of cows, they know so many things which I don't know. And when we combine together, this is called the Varnashram. We support each other in community. Yes, it is possible. Only through training. Varnashram colleges, and when we talk about Varnashram, is actually we can spend all day on this topic. Yeah, but that's brief. But yes, it is possible through training, Gurukula training, traditional educational training. Because when we put our children in a modern school, then their occupation will become modern occupation. But if we put them in the traditional school, so their occupation will be traditional. Training. Hare Krishna. So
Hare
can we
Krishna.
continue?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah. So having said that, Krishna is the creator of Varnashram. So now, when we talk about Varnashram, we cannot avoid of acting, because this material body, being the spirit soul, actually, we always active, and we are having this material body naturally. In order to maintain this body, we need to act. And then come back again to our discussion about karma yoga. So in this chapter also, we are talking about slightly about karma yoga. Because when we talk about varnashram, we cannot avoid action. When we talk about bhakti also, we cannot avoid action. So 16 to 24, after explaining his transcendental position, Krishna analyzes action and describes how to perform activities on the transcendental plane. So how to make this varnashram becomes Krishna consciousness. This is the topic. In order to not misunderstand that varnashram is just completely material, we don't need to care about that. But if we utilize varnashram in Krishna consciousness, that becomes daiva. Text 16. Even the intelligent are bewildered in determining what is action and what is inaction. So action means activities which create reaction, but inaction means like we don't do anything, right? But the context that we are talking here, inaction means akarma. Akarma means we do something, but we don't get the reaction, or Krishna consciousness activities. That is called akarma. Yeah. There are three things here. There is karma, vikarma, and akarma. We will talk about that later. Now I shall explain to you what is action, what action is, knowing which you shall be liberated from all misfortune. Okay. Action in Krishna consciousness has to be executed in accord with examples of previous bona fide devotees. One has to follow in the footsteps of the previous authorities in the line of disciplic succession. Otherwise, even the most intelligent man will be bewildered regarding the standard of action of Krishna consciousness. So, Mahajano Yena Gatasapam. Follow the previous acharyas. So, we'll talk about action and inaction. In general, action, there are two categories of action. That is called karma and vikarma. And inaction is akarma. So when we talk about Mahajanas, there are 12 Mahajanas. Yeah, you know this: Swayambhu, Narada, Sambhu, Kumara, Kapilo, Manu, Pralado, Janaka, Bhisma, Balir, Vyasakir, Vayan. So Vyasakir means the son of Vyasadeva, and then Yamaraj. Yeah. All right, text number 17. The intricacies of action are very hard to understand. Therefore, one should know properly what action is, what forbidden action is, and what inaction is. So action refers to karma. Forbidden action is vikarma, or sinful activities called vikarma. That activities which transgress the laws of scripture. Yeah. And then inaction is akarma. Or inaction is Krishna consciousness activities. Okay. Karma refers to activities done according to the Vedic injunction. Such activities are generally referred to as karma kanda. Owing to performers' material desires, karma kanda yields reaction, obeyed good ones. And then vikarma means activities prohibited in the Vedas. Such prohibited action produce bad reactions. And akarma refers to work performed for Krishna's pleasure. Such work brings no material reaction, good or bad. Therefore, Krishna consciousness activities is called inaction because we are acting, but there is no material reaction. Not good, not bad. It is transcendental. So Krishna consciousness activities is not good, it's not bad, but it is transcendental. It's beyond this conception of good or bad. Yeah. So this is from the surrender unto me. Yeah, karma, vikarma, and akarma. I hope everybody is clear with this concept. Yeah. So karma means good activities. Vikarma means bad activities. And akarma means not good, not bad, but transcendental. Okay. Srila Prabhupada. To understand Krishna consciousness and action according to its mode, one has to learn one's relationship with the Supreme, i.e., one who has learned perfectly knows that every living entity is an eternal servitor of the Lord, and that consequently one has to act in Krishna consciousness. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. Any other conclusions against these conclusions and its attendance actions are vikarmas or prohibited actions. I highlighted this part of Srila Prabhupada's purport. Yeah. So here Srila Prabhupada classifies vikarma and karma together under the category of vikarma. Interesting, right? Interesting here. The entire Bhagavad Gita is directed toward this conclusion. What is the conclusion? Here it is. Yeah, that we are the eternal servant of Krishna. Any other conclusion against this consciousness and its attendant actions are vikarmas or prohibited actions. So now here, Prabhupada is explaining that between karma and vikarma, belong to the same category. They belong to the vikarma. That means, Srila Prabhupada explaining here, even karma is also prohibited. Why? Because karma will bind us in the material world. That's the explanation. Because karma, good activities, fruitive activities, will bind us in the material world. You go to heaven, still you are in the material world. So for devotees, karma and vikarma, they belong to the same category. So we are not at all interested. We are interested only to akarma, that activities which liberates us. To understand all this, one has to associate with the authorities in Krishna consciousness and learn the secret from them. This is as good as learning from the Lord directly. Otherwise, even the most intelligent person will be bewildered. Sometimes people just think that when they perform karma, that's already transcendental. When they perform some fruitive activities, karma kanda, so they think that's actually transcendental activities. No, still it is considered to be material because karma kanda activities will bind us more and more. Same thing, sin and piety will bind us in the material world. So that's not considered to be transcendental. Some religious believe saying that the highest purpose of their life is to achieve heaven, to achieve heaven. But for us, for devotees, heaven is like very insignificant. Yeah. We are not at all desiring to be promoted to the higher planetary system. Text number 18. Yeah, this is interesting verse. One who sees inaction in action and action in inaction is intelligent among men, and he is in the transcendental position, although engaged in all sorts of activities. When I just read this verse for the first time in my life, I was confused. What does it mean? Inaction in action and action in inaction. From the word itself is so bewildering. Yeah. But actually, this verse is comparing between devotees and the Mayavadi sannyasis. So, in action, this is devotees. That means we are doing action, but actually it is inaction. We are doing activities, but actually there is no material reaction. Yet the Mayavadi sannyasis, they are in action. Means they don't, they seems to be detached from this material world. Yeah, they eat only plain dough, plain baked dough, without sugar, without salt, like that. And they dress very simply. Seems to be very detached, in action, but actually they are in action, because no one can avoid karma. Even the Mayavadi sannyasis, when they sit, they are also producing some reaction, karmic reaction of killing so many entities, just sitting. When we sit, there are so many unseen little entities. Unless we act for Krishna consciousness, we are always, incurring karmic reaction in our life. When we walk, when we drink water, when we just breathe, actually, you see so many little entities which are die, actually. So the Mayavadi sannyasis, seemingly they're not acting, but actually they are still cannot be free from karmic reaction. So this verse is comparing between devotees in action, devotees who are performing some activities, yet they don't gain any material reaction. And then action in inaction, this is for the Mayavadi sannyasis. Yeah. They just sit in one place, seems to be detached, but actually they are accumulating karmic reaction. A person acting in Krishna consciousness is naturally free from the bonds of karma. His activities are all performed for Krishna, therefore he does not enjoy or suffer any of the effects of work. Consequently, he is intelligent in human society, even though he is engaged in all sorts of activities for Krishna. Because the principle of karma yoga, the basic principle of karma yoga is we connect our activities, everything to Krishna. Yeah, yat karosi, yat asnasi, yat juhosi, tadas, yeah. So that is karma yoga. We connect everything to Krishna consciousness. Therefore, we are free from reaction, good or bad. Text 19. One is understood to be in full knowledge, whose every endeavor is devoid of desire for sense gratification. He is said by sages to be a worker for whom the reactions of work have been burned up by the fire of perfect knowledge. Prabhupada explained, only a person in full knowledge can understand the activities of a person in Krishna consciousness, because the person in Krishna consciousness is devoid of all kinds of sense gratificatory propensities. It is to be understood that he has burned up the reaction of his work by perfect knowledge of his constitutional position as the eternal servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Fact number 20. Abandoning all attachment to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent, he performs no productive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. Yeah. So what are the qualities of devotees described in Srila Prabhupada's purport? So I'm not going to ask you, it may take a lot of time. So here, what Srila Prabhupada mentioned, these are the qualities of devotees. He's not even attached to his personal maintenance, for everything is left to Krishna. Now, this is very high standard of devotion. He's not even attached to his personal maintenance. Yeah. One time, Srivas Thakur was asked by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how do you maintain your family, this big house, you are maintaining maid servant also, and you are seems to be not working? And Srivas Thakur, in reply to that, just clapped his hand 3 times. He said that if within 3 days Lord Krishna doesn't bring me food, so I will just jump to Ganga. So He left everything in Krishna's hands. Yeah. Of course, he has faith. Ananya Chintayanto Mam Yejana Paripasate Samnitya Vyuktanam Yogak Semam Vaham Yaha. Krishna will bring what his devotees need. Yeah. So that's first thing Srila Prabhupada mentioned. So this is complete surrender. Yeah, Raksisyati Viswaso. Krishna will always protect his devotee. And then, nor is he anxious to secure things, nor to protect things already in his possession. He does his duty to the best of his ability and leaves everything to Krishna. So he is not attached to the result of his activities. Yeah. Even though in spiritual activities, he just do his duty very nicely, very carefully. And whatever the result is up to Krishna, including his preaching work. It's up to Krishna. My duty is just to preach, and the result is up to Krishna. Yeah. So that's about Prabhupada's purport. Text number 21. Such man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense all sense of proprietorship over his possession, and acts only for the bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reaction. So Prabhupada many times referring to the working only for the maintenance of body and soul together. We are not working like hard like cats and dogs, Prabhupada says. Like an animal, he has no proprietorship even over his own body. A cruel proprietor of an animal sometimes kills the animal in his possession, yet the animal does not protest, nor does it have any real independence. So this should be our mood actually in Krishna's hands. We are just we are belong to Krishna. Everything is belong to Krishna. So yeah, Avasharakshi Krishna. Our protection is depend on Krishna, and we're not working prayasa. Rupa Goswami explained prayasa means over endeavor for something which is not very necessary in our life. This is called prayasa. Yeah, so we should not do that. So this verse speaks of highly advanced, perfected devotee who is constantly greedy for Krishna's service. He considers himself insignificant and gives no importance to anything outside that service. His qualities will now be further described. So till text 24, yeah, it's just talking about the quality of a pure devotee. He who is satisfied with gain which come of its own accord. That means everything depends on Krishna, who is free from duality and does not envy, who is steady in both success and failure. Sama dukkha sukham dhiram. This is the quality of devotee. It is never entangled, although performing action. Text 23, the work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. The last one, a person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities in which the consummation is absolute and that which is offered is to the same spiritual nature. Yeah. Prabhupada explained, for example, a patient who is suffering from a disorder of the bowels due to overindulgence in milk products is cured by another milk product, namely yogurt. The materially absorbed conditioned soul can be cured by Krishna consciousness as set forth here in the Gita. This process is generally known as yagya or activities, sacrifice, simply meant for the satisfaction of Vishnu or Krishna. Very nice analogy here. Prabhupada explained that sometimes we get stomach upset because we, drink too much milk or eating some milk, sweet made of milk. But the same problem, this problem can be solved by taking the same milk product known as the yogurt. If you have some stomach ulcer because you drink too much milk, just take some yogurt. It will cure you. So similarly, material world, prasangam ajaram pasam atmana kavayo viduhu saeva sadhu sukrito moksha dwaram mapavritam. So the material world can bind us, just like the milk can make us disease. But the same milk product, namely yogurt, can cure us. So similarly, the material world can bind us here. But when we utilize this material world properly in Krishna's service through karma yoga, connected to Krishna, then moksha dwaram apavritam. Instead of being bound, we are actually opening the path of liberation. So varnashram is also like that. If we utilize varnashram in the service of the Lord, then moksha dwaram apavritam. Yeah, that's how we use everything in Krishna's service properly. So for devotee, it is actually akarma. There is no material reaction for devotees, because devotees means those who are engaged constantly in Krishna's service. Therefore, we can do any occupation as long as that is connected to Krishna. The result should be offered to Krishna. Yagya, Prabhupada mentioned, activities or sacrifice is meant to please Krishna. Yeah. Yagya arthat karma nunya. Okay. Up to this point, whether any questions, the time is up. If there is no question, so tomorrow we continue our discussion on this chapter. And thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.